Okay, so this is the display collection as of March 21st, 2011. By display collection, I mean this is the merchandise and memorabilia that I choose to display almost year-round in the kitchen, which is the main display area. I have, crates of stuff that's miscellaneous turtle stuff, or things from the toy line post 1998. Most of that is going to be put away. This is the stuff that I find most interesting or most valuable or whatnot. So the kitchen is comprised mostly of Playmates from 1988 to 1998. That's the original vintage line. Everything that Playmates produced in the United States is in this room. Or rather, an example of it. On top of that, we also have various rarities, some of the key comic books in the series, movie props. You can see the sideshow statues there. Anything that I really thought was eye-catching usually comes into the kitchen. So yeah, let me show you some specific stuff. Sorry, dog door. Okay, so just kind of going around the room. The top shelves are going to have all the loose action figures from 1988 to 1998, with the exception of this shelf over here, which does have some prototypes from the 2K3 series, along with, actually, that's a piece of the house that Kevin and Peter lived in when they created the Ninja Turtles. Moving on. Most of these are in order by year. They're kind of grouped up in order by year. I have to admit that over the years, as they would fall down or whatnot, I would kind of pick them up and put them back wherever. So some of them aren't in probably the shelf that they're supposed to be right now, but I'm sure you eagle eyes could probably catch which ones are which. Up top here, some of the larger figures, all the oversized go up there, along with a few vehicles. Most of the vehicles, though, are actually down here. As you can see, we're in the kitchen. A lot of people ask me, or a lot of the first question is, why the kitchen? It originally started out, I just needed a place with a lot of shelving, and I didn't really have that in the rest of the apartment. So what better place for with built-in shelving than the kitchen. At the time, I was a bachelor, and so I didn't do a whole lot of my own cooking, so it didn't really faze me. Now they remain in the kitchen mostly because it's fun to talk about. It's kind of an eye-catching thing. Most people find dishes in their cupboards, and I find turtles. On the wall along here, some carded stuff. I prefer loose figures to carded things, mostly because I enjoy the history of a toy that's been played with. I think it's a lot more personal. Some of the stuff that you'll see carded are either remain carded because I paid too much to open them when I bought them, like if I was paid a premium for the fact that it was in package, and that was the only way that I could get a hold of it. If I couldn't find a loose one, then I just kept it in the package. Some of them are signed. That April is signed by the original voice actress from the cartoon. And then some of them actually have something specific wrong with their package, such as one of my favorites, the Michelangelo back there, is actually mounted to his card upside down. And that was actually one of the first figures I got when I got back into collecting in my late teens. Here's something cool. This is actually a prototype of the puppets used for the origin story in the first movie. This is actually not screen used. He's not made of latex. He's actually used as made from a much firmer rubber, and he's actually pretty pliable and didn't dry out like most latex stuff. But so that was actually like a concept before they made the final versions of those puppets. They made those prototypes just kind of as a first run. The buttons next to him are the original buttons that were sold out of the back of the first Turtles comic books. This is the puzzle that was recalled because there's a swastika. Allegedly, it's a small piece of graffiti that resembles a swastika on the cover, and on the puzzle itself, and so it was recalled. This is actually something cool. This is a book of the pre-Mirage work of Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird. Before the Turtles, Kevin and Peter did a lot of independent underground work, and this is an album of some of it. Some of it I can show you, some of them I can't show you because it's a little risque in nature. But let's find some stuff here. Maybe. Alright, that's not so bad. So, this is actually a newsletter from Comics Wave that Kevin did this piece here. And Kevin actually did this piece here too, so I can get some light on it. So yeah, some of it's very miscellaneous. This is a magazine cover or an underground comics cover that Peter did in 1979, so several years before the Turtles. Barbaric Fantasy is one of the first things that Peter actually ever published. He published it himself. As you can see, it's hand stapled, and it was sold at his college campus and at a used bookstore that he owned prior to Mirage. So that's this. The cover is actually done by Kevin, which was very kind of him to do. So a bunch of the hardcover stuff and a bunch of the just oversized softcover. Various editions of the collected #1, the hardcover #1, or the hardcover collected, the softcover version of that book. So the new Usagi volumes that just recently came out, which I highly recommend. That's a plate done by Mark Martin, actually. I commissioned that from him. This is actually something kind of cool. He commissioned the art and then sent it into, I think it's Crayola, or some subsidiary of Crayola, or something like that. That then takes the art and puts it on a plate. So that was very, very cool. Back behind there, you can see quite a few of the original Milestone comic books, Turtles 1 through 5 or 1 through 4, and Raphael one shot, along with Tales of the TMNT Volume 2, number 64, which featured an ad for GoGreenMachine.org, my blog, on the inside cover. This one is the misprint of number 4, where it's got the cover of Tales number 1. In here, I don't think I went over this yet. This is the Splinter puppet from the first Ninja Turtles movie for the origin story scene where the other turtle puppet is also from. This is the actual screen use puppet, however. When you do see the movie, this is the actual puppet that you are looking at. In here, this refrigerated unit, this is wax sculpts from the original series. This would be the actual pieces of wax that the artist sculpted, and it's done over, or this is wax over plastic armature. And in there you can actually see the wax sculpt for Hotspot. Unfortunately, the brim of his hat broke long before I got him. And then next to him is the wax sculpt for Casey Jones, along with an unreleased head that was going to be maskless. So you would be able to swap heads. Because Casey never made it to, never took his mask off in the show, they decided to not include that with the figure. There's a Tyranno Shredder back there. And that is actually the face of the Turtle Submarine, the toy that they did. It's actually kind of cool. Up here, this is a test shot cast for Scratch. This is a prototype. He is actually held together with pins. He would come together, or he would fall apart if you handled him. Next to him is again held with pins, but this is a hand-painted sculpture from the original sculptor of Pizza Face, and this was another unreleased version. They were gonna have a removable hat so that he'd have this little shrunken head guy underneath him, but they decided to nix that. They thought it was too gruesome for kids at the time. And there's our new Sideshow figures, the exclusive editions with the San Diego exclusive Mouser. Let's see, here's a bunch of the plushes. Actually, this is the full set of plushes, including the Practice Pals back there. Let's see, what else? I think that just about covers the kitchen. I'm going to walk you out and show you some of the art that I have hanging around the house that I think you'll find interesting. Alright, so this is the... So back up one more here. This is the first, or rather six pages out of TMNT Volume 1, number 50, I believe, the first issue of City of War. This is the 6 of the last pages. It was this giant explosion, and these 3 pieces of art actually go together. So the explosion starts here, moving to the right, and then continues here, and then continues here. And again, this would represent 6 pages of the book. Excuse me. This is an issue of Gobbledygook number 2, along with the original cover art for Gobbledygook number 2. I'm sorry about the glare there. Let's see if I can move. Gobbledygook 1 and 2 were the first things that Kevin and Peter ever did together as Mirage Studios. They're 50 of each total run. They are hand-stapled, hand-xeroxed. That's why the CGC grading authority will not grade them, because they say that they're too easily reproduced. Normally, if you're shopping for a set of Gobbledygooks, you want to look for proof that comes with it that they're real, either buying them from a Mirage employee, former Mirage employee, or have some sort of written authentication with them. Down below here, this is an issue of Gobbledygook number 1. I do not own the cover art for the first book. It was recently sold at auction for about $6,000, I believe. Here you have Turtle Mania, all 3 editions, the white, the silver, and the gold. The white was an edition of 3,000, the silver was an edition of 100, and the gold was an edition of 10. The main difference, besides the obvious color, excuse me a second, is on the back. The whites just have this the regular screen-printed turtles here. The silver is signed and numbered by Kevin and Peter, and the gold is signed, numbered, and sketched. Kevin did the first 5, I believe, and Peter did the second 5. As of this video, we being the collectors at large, have located 3 of the Turtle Mania golds. Oh. This is actually the concept sketch for Shredder. This predates Ninja Turtles number 1. This image was used as a style guide for Shredder, so when Kevin and Peter finally nailed it down as to what exactly Shredder would look like, this image was drawn by Kevin so that they could base all their drawings for Turtles number 1 off these drawings. Right next to him, this is a convention sketch from Peter. This is Donatello. The thing that makes this one special is that it's a 1984 piece. As you know, the Ninja Turtles were released in 1984, so there was only a very short window of opportunity for this to have been drawn. I like these two displayed together because this is a very iconic Kevin piece next to a very iconic Peter piece. Over here by the closet, this is a piece by Jim Lawson. When he found out that the turtles were being sold, this was one of the first drawings that he did. It's obviously a turtle walking away. I thought it was a very poignant piece. He put it up on his blog, and I had emailed him, and I said, Jim, can I buy this from you? And he said, no, but I'll give it to you. So he just sent it to me. So thank you very much, Jim. Down here, whoa, too much zoom. This is a piece by Peter. It's obviously a turtle meshed with Wolverine. There's an early Eastman and Laird piece that I really love that is all the iconic Marvel characters at the time done as turtles, and so I asked him to draw this for me as a sort of a consolation prize for me not being able to get that piece. Well, I think that's about it. So, if you have any questions, of course, feel free to post. Otherwise, one of the things I am doing now is I'm sort of making the slow process of doing this all again, well, at least all the figures on card. So I'll be slowly buying all the figures on card, just sort of as something to do. As you can see, when you've sort of amassed everything in, you know, the specific areas you collect, you tend to get a little bored. So I'm branching out and trying to start doing some carded, more carded stuff. So you may see some of that in the future. So yeah, thanks for looking.